The drama in Love and Marriage Huntsville has reached unprecedented heights. What was meant to be a glamorous, tension-filled reunion has spiraled into chaos, threatening to destroy careers, reputations, and even personal relationships. The show's cornerstone, Martell Holt, once the calm and collected face of the franchise, is now teetering on the brink of a public breakdown. A single, explosive outburst caught on multiple cameras has set off a chain reaction that could unravel everything he has worked so hard to build. Media leaks, cast divisions, and an in-depth investigation by The Guardian have thrown his life and empire into turmoil. Fans, producers, and even his closest colleagues never imagined it would come to this. Martell's carefully cultivated public image, a composed businessman, a loving husband, a wise and morally upright investor, was long considered untouchable. Behind the scenes, however, pressure had been simmering for years. Constant public scrutiny, emotional exhaustion, and the relentless demands of reality television had created cracks in his polished facade. When investigative journalists started digging into his real estate empire, the cracks widened, revealing tensions, questionable dealings, and a side of Martell that the world had never seen. On the morning of the reunion, the cast gathered at their production facility under a sky that was both clear and overcast, a visual metaphor for the storm about to break. Martell, usually the picture of composure, sat quietly, barely participating in the conversation around him. Rumors had been swirling for weeks about an imminent exposé, and tension was palpable among the cast and crew. A whistleblower from Martell's Huntsville real estate development company had alerted The Guardian, claiming irregularities such as unreported loans, internal disputes with partners, and hush-style payouts designed to protect the couple's carefully curated public image. Martell had always taken pride in presenting himself as a sharp, ethical investor, someone who could balance ambition with integrity. Behind the cameras, however, the lines between professional and personal, reality and performance were increasingly blurred. Production staff whispered anxiously in the hallways, worried about brand safety. Network executives fretted over the future of the spin-off. The stakes were high, not just for Martell, but for the entire Huntsville franchise. Any scandal of this magnitude could derail storylines, affect sponsorships, and threaten the network's substantial financial investment. Martell, of course, was acutely aware of the precarious position he now found himself in. The night before the reunion, Martell lay awake, unable to sleep. His phone lit up continuously with drafts of the Barnian story. Every new notification was a reminder of the storm building against him. Anxiety gnawed at him. Thoughts of the impending scandal, the potential ruin of his empire, and the betrayal by someone he trusted made it impossible to rest. When he arrived at the reunion the next morning, he lowered his head and muttered, "I've got this." His wife, Melody Holt, tried to engage him in conversation, seeking strategy or reassurance, but Martell's focus was elsewhere. A production liaison handed him a sealed envelope containing the season's filming schedule, but Martell barely glanced at it. His mind was consumed with the looming threat of the exposé. For a brief moment, his face was blank, emotionless, but inside a storm raged. Suddenly, a camera caught him off guard. He stood abruptly, slammed his fist on the table, and declared sharply, "We're done playing these games." His words were not directed at the crew, but at everyone in the room. Heads turned, silence fell, the cameras kept rolling. The moment, never intended for public eyes, had been captured and was about to be unleashed to the world. After leaving the meeting, Martell paced the corridors, typing frantically on his phone. A right to respond notice from The Guardian had given him only 2 hours to review their article before publication. Rage and vulnerability warred within him. He felt the story was a personal attack, a calculated effort to dismantle his reputation. But he also realized he was not fully prepared for the exposure. Melody followed him, her voice barely above a whisper as she asked, "What's happening?" Martell, his voice low, responded, "They're gunning for me. Everything they have, the bank records, the statements, the paperwork, everything." Melody's face went pale. This was far from a typical after-party scandal. This was a threat capable of altering their entire lives. Meanwhile, the production team convened an emergency meeting. Filming was temporarily halted. The atmosphere on set had shifted irrevocably. Martell isolated himself in the green room, surrounded by documents, emails, contracts, and notes. He attempted to save whatever he could, unaware of the full scale of the storm about to hit him. Upstairs, their 3 children went through hair and makeup, oblivious to the chaos below. Outside, social media erupted. Screenshots of Martell slamming the table went viral. Comments flooded in, "Good riddance. What's he hiding?" Headlines screamed, "Reality star's financial empire under scrutiny." That night, in the dimly lit luxury of their Atlanta condo, Martell and Melody faced the enormity of what had happened. Despite never drinking, Martell held a glass of scotch, his gaze fixed on the amber liquid as he contemplated the fallout. Melody suggested they assure the public that everything was fine, but Martell knew the truth. "It won't be just me if this goes public," he said. "It's you. It's the females. It's everything I created." The next morning, a meeting with their lawyer revealed the depth of the Guardian's investigation. Internal documents, confidential audits, and affidavits from former colleagues indicated irregularities in the company's escrow accounts. The investigation was thorough and relentless. Martell's first instinct was denial, but he knew that strategy alone would not suffice. He reached out to a few cast members to secure support and protect the narrative on set. Producers attempted to frame Martell's turmoil as a redemptive arc, a confession for viewers, a chance to restore his image. But Martell refused. "I'm not giving them entertainment for my humiliation," he said. The network froze. Their options were limited: push him out or stand by him. That night, Melody confronted him privately, urging him to consider the broader consequences. "If you walk away now, you take everyone with you." Martell's pride was wounded. Betrayed by the platform that made him famous, he saw his carefully constructed empire teetering on the edge. The Guardian published the exposé, transforming overnight headlines from glamour to scandal. Social media influencers, tabloids, and rival reality stars dissected every asset, every business decision, every relationship. Martell's public image, once pristine, was now tarnished, and the scrutiny intensified. Advertisers questioned their sponsorships. Agents called with concerns. Every interaction felt like pressure applied to a collapsing structure, and Martell was at the epicenter. Pre-filming meetings at the studio were icy. Coworkers avoided eye contact. Martell attempted a smile, tried to shrug off the tension, but the scrutiny was inescapable. "Are we filming, or are we burying me alive for ratings?" he asked, the words cutting through the silence. Melody watched from a distance, torn between loyalty and self-preservation. Her identity, intertwined with Martell's, forced her to navigate a delicate path. Legal files began leaking, subpoenas arrived, and former business partners were interviewed under strict anonymity. Every venture Martell had touched was suddenly under question. Requests for on-camera apologies were rejected by Martell. "I won't apologize for being human," he insisted. The network was stunned. The decision was agonizing. Recast, edit around him, or let the drama unfold? Rumors swirled that Martell negotiated a payout, confidentiality agreements, and non-disparagement clauses. Meanwhile, Melody quietly sought counsel, considering separation and safeguarding her own brand should Martell's empire collapse. Advice from friends reminded her, don't be the woman dragged down by a man's mistakes. Her emotional bond with Martell complicated every decision. Social media reacted immediately. Martell's followers declined sharply. Posts about building legacies were met with cynicism and ridicule. Memes mocked his meltdown. A cryptic message from Martell, "Truth only matters when you're ready to hear it," fueled further speculation, but did little to repair the damage. Then, the network announced a delay for Season 10 filming. The cast gathered, being told, "We'll resume when it's safe for all parties." For Martell, it was more than a career setback. It was an identity crisis. He sat in silence, repeating to himself, "On hold, what have I done?" In private, Martell gathered his daughters and assured them, "We're going through a storm, but storms pass." He turned to Melody. "I want you to rebuild. Even if I fail, I don't want you to." Strength and surrender existed in the same breath. Later, The Guardian followed up with a second piece. Wife of reality star files for business separation amid scandal. Martell felt it like a gut punch, both publicly and privately. Weeks passed. Legal documents continued to leak. Banks froze accounts, and other companies distanced themselves from Martell's projects. One night alone, Martell visited the skeletal frame of a future development. The cold air bit his face as he walked through steel beams and unfinished walls. The cameras were absent, the lights off, just silence. He whispered to himself, "Maybe this is where I start over." Whether it meant rebuilding or walking away permanently, no one could say. One thing, however, was certain. The storm sparked by a single outburst had rewritten the legacy of Martell Holt forever. Martell Holt's fall from grace is a stark reminder that in reality television, the cameras never truly stop rolling. Fame can build you up, but it can also break you in ways the world will never fully understand. This has been a deep dive into Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 10. Remember, everything you see is entertainment. Everything you hear is speculation, and every story has multiple sides. Stay tuned, Huntsville's drama is far from over. Secrets, betrayals, and perhaps even redemption are still on the horizon. This is Fame Heat, where the truth always burns a little hotter.